New Fender Rhodes in the studio, Mark I. It's beautiful. I just got it. It's going to need a little bit of work, but it just sounds incredible. But not everybody has access to a real Fender Rhodes. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through Native Instruments expansions and specifically the sampled instruments in those expansions. So let's get right into that and maybe take off these glasses because they're giving me a headache. So big sale on right now, 9 expansions for $99, but this video is going to help people who are looking at the expansions beyond this sale. So if it's after the sale, this is still going to be just as relevant. All I'm going to do is walk you through the sounds or the multi-sampled instruments in Native Instruments expansions. And not all of the expansions have a lot of sampled instruments, but what I want to do is just show you these sampled instruments because some of them are really great. Some people like myself who bought the complete collector's edition comes with a ton of expansions and it's easy to overlook some of them. So I'll show you what I think is my favorite expansion. And then the other thing about these multi-sampled instruments is if you're on Maschine Plus, it's going to be very beneficial to you because you'll be able to take a sampled instrument like a Rhodes or a piano out on the road with you. So let's find out what we've got for multi-sampled instruments in these expansions just to kind of give you a little more insight into what's in there, just so that you can go and then choose the expansions that are right for you. This is only one aspect of these expansions, of course, and I'll put links in the description to all of my expansion videos, so you can go check out way more details about each of these expansions, including things like the loops that it comes with and the kits, the groups that would show up in Maschine or in a program like Battery. So if you click on the link below, you'll be hitting my affiliate link, which will give me a little kickback, and I really appreciate that support, even if it's after the sale. So thanks for the help there. All right, so I'm just going to tell you my favorite expansion in terms of sounds right off the bat here, and that is Marble Rims. One that I've actually never really touched before. Marble Rims, I go over to the sounds menu on Maschine, and this expansion has 127 different sampled instruments. It doesn't mean all of them have multi-samples, but a lot of them do. So let me show you. You can see what kind of samples you've got in these expansions and where you can check that kind of information. So right off the bat, we've got a clav in there. So I'm going to load that one up. If I click the sampling button and make sure I'm on the zone page, you can see how many samples are loaded into this specific patch, and we can see it right on the screen as well. We can see how many samples are loaded in there. So I've got some chords set up. I'll go through the keyboard mode for some of these. As I was going through Marble Rims, I was realizing that they've got more than just things like Rhodes and pianos and stuff like that. They've actually got string instruments. So if you are on Maschine Plus, you can actually access all of these kinds of sounds right from Maschine Plus. So that's why I feel like this expansion is just so great. This isn't going to compare to, say, an orchestral library, and a lot of these sampled sounds that we're looking at today aren't going to necessarily surpass something like Instruments in Contact. And I don't think that's the point, but a lot of them do have a character to them. So you're getting different styles of Rhodes and maybe some more kind of lo-fi style pianos or just interesting sounding pianos and other instruments. We got cello. Let's load up a pizzicato. So pretty great sounding pizzicato cellos, even sustained notes. So a whole bunch of articulations all in Marble Rims. We've got a marimba. Put the delay one on. A harp. I love harp. Set it to maybe like a pentatonic scale. Let's put it to a whole tone scale. There's your dream sequence. Love it. This one might be my favorite instrument in all of the expansions. It's actually a really great sounding flute. Put it to something like a blues scale, and now you're going to get something even cooler. I love having little flute samples and kind of hip hop jazzy stuff. We got a precision bass in there, so let's go down an octave. So pretty decent multi-sampled bass. We can go see the samples right there on that one. And then here is our first real Rhodes in this one. Let's go to chords. Set it to minor 7. Nice sounding Rhodes. You can also see that not only is it multi-samples going up the keyboard, they've actually got velocity layers in here as well. So that means if you play hard, you get one sample. If you play soft, you get a different sample. Vibraphone, this one. And then we've got an actual piano. So they pretty much have all of the essential instruments in here, except for guitars. Not a lot of guitars, just a little bit of those like kind of plucky ones. Great sounding, bright piano. Again, it's just kind of a different sounding piano. It's not like it's going to compete with some of the more multi-sampled pianos in Contact. So now what I'm going to do is walk you through other expansions that have some great multi-sampled instruments, and we'll go kind of in order of the instruments that they've got. So first thing we'll look at is pianos, so actual pianos. If we go over to our browser, Amplified Funk, which is a fantastic library if you're into the funky stuff. Upright style piano in this one. Aquarius Earth has to be one of my all-time favorite expansions. Got the Swank Ivory. Really great kind of old-timey piano. There you go. Aquarius Earth, other than the amazing stuff that comes with Aquarius Earth. Certified Gold has this really cool sort of synthy piano sound. Faded Reels, another one of my lo-fi favorite expansions. Has a handful of great sampled instruments. We've got the Dirty Piano. And then Headland Flow. Now looking at electric pianos like the Rhodes over here. Aquarius Earth has this one here, but doesn't have a whole bunch of samples. It's got a few samples, but it sounds pretty decent. Sounds more like a DX kind of electric piano. All right, Headland Flow has this nice electric piano sound here. Put some verb on that. That's going to sound pretty good. Not super sampled, but it sounds pretty good. Next one is Infamous Flow, and the patch is called Omaha. You can see how many samples they have on this one as well. It's quite extensive. Midnight Sunset has Rick's Rhodes, which sounds great. So next one is Sierra Grove, Blue Vinyl, another really nice Rhodes patch. So Magnate Hustle is another one that has a lot of sampled instruments in it, and they're really good. So we've got electric pianos, we've got a whirly, we've got a bright piano, we've got a grand piano, and then we've got the electric piano, saucy keys, and uplifting keys. So Magnate Hustle has to be my other big recommendation for sampled instruments. So if there's other things you like about it, definitely add that to the list because it has fantastic sounding sampled instruments on it. My second favorite, I would say, in terms of this. So there you go, electric piano, like a DX. We've got Mark 1, just like this guy. And then next we've got bass. Midnight Sunset. It's got a bit of a slap bass patch. And And it also has a fingered bass, which is pretty decent. Let me thumb struck. So there are a bunch of organ patches that I noticed along the way, but one that stood out to me was Dr. Lonnie's organ here in Platinum Bounce. And then the last category is just synthesizer sounds that have been deeply sampled. And there are a whole bunch of those, but one of the ones that stood out to me was Vintage Heat. And in Vintage Heat, we've got a bunch of sampled synthesizer sounds. So we've got a CZ, which I've got over in my studio here. I've got a CZ3000. Casio synthesizer. We've got the DX100, which is going to be a Yamaha. We've got the Juno 6, which I've also got in the studio. Then we've also got a JX3P. And then another great library for some interesting sounds is Global Shake. But there's 75 different patches in here, and they've got some really interesting sampled instruments. So Global Shake is something worth checking out for sure. We've got kind of a marimba here. We've got some basses. I love those kind of warm basses sometimes, you know. We've got a Rhodes. So the last expansion I'll show you in terms of sounds is this Rising Crescent. This one was another expansion that just sounds so good, and I can't wait to use some of the patches in this one. And I've never really explored it, so let's just go look at some of the patches in this one. Oh, this Desert Wind flute is just beautiful. I love this Santuri. I've actually recorded a Santuri. It's a Middle Eastern instrument, and it's played with little mallets that hit strings, kind of like a dulcimer. We've got an Arabic scale, Saz. Sitar, and another sitar. So really beautiful patches and totally different sounding instruments. Definitely worth checking out that one in terms of just an expansion that has something like that. So I hope that gives you a good idea of some of the sampled instruments that come with the expansions. There's so much to tap into, but I wanted to kind of do something different with this video and show you some of those things that may have been overlooked in the past. So go ahead and write up in the comments if there are other expansions that have sounds that you absolutely love. It'd be great for helping other people decide which expansion to pick up. Make sure you go check out the link and go to the expansions, listen to the sounds that are in there, and make sure you get the ones that are exactly right for you and your style of music. So hit that subscribe button and the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.